Hi everyone, it's Catherine Langman here from Productpreneur Success HQ, and just tuning in again for another little discussion or mini training session about something to do with e-commerce marketing. Now it is school holidays still where I am, so hopefully I won't be interrupted as I go today. But if you're jumping on live, pop a comment below, say g'day, and let me know how you're going. But today, I just wanted to talk about sales automation. Of course, I'm talking about e-commerce here, and I just thought I was a little bit inspired to talk about this topic and blog about this topic after my recent podcast interview on the Unofficial Shopify podcast a couple of weeks ago. And that was a lot of fun, and I realised I haven't really ever kind of gone through the strategy of how to build sales automation into an e-commerce business. So, hello Michelle, how are you going? It's nice to have some company this morning. So let's talk about how to automate your new and repeat sales. I'm going to go through 3 different ways that you can do this for an e-commerce website. And, I guess the impetus or the reason why you would want to or consider sales automation is when you are really feeling like, your business or your website just needs your constant attention, and that if you, walked away or went on holidays for a few days, that the sales would totally bottom out and, revenue would stop coming in the door. So this is, if that's how things are in your business, this is when you really want to consider sales automation. And, if sales automation is a little bit unfamiliar to you, don't worry, I am going to kind of go through that as well. So, to give you a bit of a backstory here, the reason why I got into this was because in my last business, I was a few years into my last business, and then I fell pregnant with my 3rd child, and I knew I wasn't going to take a lot of maternity leave, but I actually had staff to pay wages for at the time, and I absolutely had to have those consistent sales coming in. And at the time, so this is several years ago now, but at the time there were some really cool new software applications coming out that really made it easy to kind of set up this sales automation stuff. And at the time, Infusionsoft was the one that I went for. Of course, there's a lot of other cheaper tools as well now that do a lot of this for you, so you don't have to kind of go for that big end of town for this to do this in your own business. However, so, basically what sales automation is, it's automating the process of generating traffic, converting a first sale from a new customer, hopefully at a really good average order value, and then motivating those customers to come back and buy more than once. So you're sort of putting automation around that process. And often, we're usually doing those activities manually. And if we can kind of automate some of that, then that's even better. And in my view, that, this kind of marketing is really like the holy grail of e-commerce marketing. So definitely something to aim for. So here are the 3 strategies that I want to go through. And the first is to attract and convert the first customer. Now, in the early days of e-commerce, there really wasn't anywhere near as much competition out there. And those of you who've been in the game for a while, like I have, will remember those early glory days when we could just pretty much put something up and things would go nuts. It's not like that anymore, is it? So, in the early days, it was possible to have success by being quite generic in your brand positioning and to target a very broad audience because, there wasn't the competition available. But those kind of big e-commerce players, they're all really established now. So for new players, so new businesses to get traction in the marketplace, we do really need to niche down. We need to serve a much more specific audience and be very clear about who those people are, those customers are, and why they buy and how they buy. So as a quick example that I've given to a few people, those of you selling kids clothing, are you just selling kids clothing? Or are you selling funky hard-wearing threads for the outdoor adventure-loving little superhero? So, you know, one is very broad and generic, and the other is very specific, and you can immediately put some imagery around that second option there, right? So what, you know, have a think about what marketing messaging is going to appeal to your exact customer, and what is the ultimate benefit that they are buying when they buy from you. You know, it doesn't, you know, regardless of whether you're selling one brand of product or a lot of brands of different brands as a retailer, you know, you really need to understand why your customers are coming to you and then speak to that point there. And the bottom line is that not everyone is going to be obsessed with you, and but some will, and so your job is to figure out who those people are and really craft your marketing towards them, because clarifying the kind of customers that you want to serve gives you that power to, you know, really knock their socks off with perfectly matched products, mouth-watering marketing content and communications, and your promotions are going to be way more successful because people will really resonate with what you're going on about. So the point here is that once you have done that bit and, you know, you're starting to attract the right audience to your website, then of course you want to convert as many of those website browsers into customers, into buyers, okay? And so that, you know, you're obviously going to get some of those people buying straight away, but only a small percentage. So the average e-commerce conversion rate is only around 2 to 3%. I'd say probably more like 2% is the average. So that's only a small percentage of people are actually going to buy once they hit your website. So to try and increase that conversion rate, what we want to do is to start collecting email addresses from these website visitors. We want to entice these visitors onto our website and you know, then be able to market to them. You know, this is where we can start employing some automation. So we want to have that continued conversation with these potential customers, these leads, so that we can try and convert as many of them into paying customers as possible. So we definitely want to entice as many people onto our email list as possible. I like to, you know, offer some kind of a incentive. So, we call it a lead magnet, but some kind of free giveaway, whether it's a, you know, a quiz or a PDF downloadable or something like that. And I've got other blogs about that, so you can go and check out some ideas there. But entice them onto your email list with something, not just a discount, okay? Discounts are a useful tool to include as well for helping to, you know, get that conversion happening, the sales conversion. But give them a free gift as well. It's a really nice way to start a relationship with your potential customers. And then once you've got those email addresses on your email list, you're not just adding them to your newsletter list to wait until, you know, you get around to sending your next newsletter, because I know it's very difficult for a lot of small businesses to send newsletters consistently and regularly. So what, and, you know, direct marketing experts will always say that, you know, the money is in the follow-up. So if we can employ automation, so an automated email sequence or an email funnel, whatever you want to call it, if we can employ that strategy here, once we add someone to our email list and then follow up with them with an automated email sequence, that is where we're going to start increasing the number of customers who buy from us quite significantly. So I like to include 3 emails in that that automated email sequence, and you know, we're just trying to, you know, introduce them to our brand, tell a little bit of a brand story, you know, perhaps give some customer testimonials, offer an incentive, so, you know, give them a really cool, awesome introductory offer to buy from you. And then at the end of the sequence, you can employ some scarcity. This offer is about to expire, got to get on and get it now kind of thing. And that really, really works. Now, just at this point, I just thought I would point out that there, regardless of what kind of business that you run, there really are only 3 ways that you can increase your sales. And the first is to increase the number of customers who buy from you. So that's what that first email funnel strategy is all about, increasing the number of customers who buy from you. But the second way to increase your sales is to increase the average order value. And there's certainly various ways that you can do that, whether it's through you know, free shipping threshold, or really enticing bundles, that you've packed lots of value in. So, it'll really depend on what kind of product you sell as to what offer works, but there's definitely various ways you can increase your average order value. Or I can see Emily is watching me. You can just sell a really expensive product. That'll give you a good average order value. Anyway, the third way to increase your sales is to increase the frequency your customers buy from you. So, there's a way that we can automate that as well. Now, the second way that you can try and, or the second strategy to employ to convert more new customers buying from you is to reclaim your abandoned carts. And so, unfortunately, it's something that we all experience in e-commerce, where people, about up to 70% of people will add products to their shopping cart and then leave without completing the purchase. And so why do people do this? I mean, I know that the knee-jerk reaction is that, do they not love my stuff? Is it not good enough that they want to complete their purchase? But most of the time, they'll abandon their shopping cart because they were presented with unexpected costs. So this is, if your shipping fees are only calculated at the checkout and there's no prior warning about how much the shipping is going to be, that is the number one reason people do abandon their carts. Other reasons that they'll abandon their shopping cart will be, if they've been interrupted in their purchase, kids coming and demanding your attention, or maybe they were on their mobile and it was too difficult. That's definitely still a big problem for a lot of websites. Some people like to use their shopping cart just as a wish list, so they didn't intend to actually shop at that point, but there's lots of different reasons. So why should we chase someone who didn't love your stuff enough to buy in that first instance? But, and I want you to flip that on the head and just consider that the people who've abandoned their shopping carts are actually your warmest leads. These are what we call your low-hanging fruit, and they are the easiest customers to convert because they've already demonstrated that they really love your stuff. And what you want to do is have an automated email sequence in place that is designed to help reclaim those abandoned cart orders. And if you can put that email sequence in place, statistics say you'll reclaim lost sales 10 to 15% of the time. And, given if anyone could give you a fairly simple way to increase your sales 10 to 15%, I think you'd take it, right? So that's a pretty simple way to automate increasing some sales on your website. The third strategy is really around getting the loyalty and the repeat sales. Hi, Anna. So cool to have you here. I haven't talked to you for a while. So let's talk about the third way, which is, the way you're going to turbocharge really your e-commerce sales and also your profitability. And it's been, like people have known for ages that customer retention is really the most important factor in profitable growth. And that is because the first sale from a new customer is rarely all that profitable when you take into account things like discounts or incentives or the cost of advertising or your paying for sales staff or whatever the case may be. The profit margin on those first sales are always going to be less. So the solution, of course, there is to sell more to existing customers. And the other reason we really want to try and lift levels of loyalty is because loyal customers are very likely to tell their family and friends and recommend you to other people. And as a method of advertising, if you can get those word-of-mouth referrals, those referred punters are far more likely to convert into new customers much faster and at a higher rate than any other form of advertising. So we really want to make sure that we're growing a really loyal, happy customer base, and that we're eliciting those repeat sales. So again, I want you to use a automated email sequence for the post-purchase situation. So when somebody buys from you the first time, they would enter into this post-purchase email sequence, and this email sequence has two parts to it. The first part will have a few emails, and that's really around just making sure your customers are feeling welcome and they're feeling happy with and satisfied. They they're using the product successfully, you're asking for a testimonial, so you can definitely automate that process. So the goal initially with this first part of this email sequence is really to make certain that their first experience as a customer of your business and using your product is a really positive one. And, again, happy customers will buy again, unhappy customers tell 10 friends, and so you lose times by 10. So definitely want to make sure that you do that kind of customer servicey part first. And then the second part of this campaign is where you are trying to elicit that repeat sale. So at this point, you would be cross-selling to something different in your product range, or upselling to more of the same, or depending on what your business is, you might offer a discount just across the range. So some tips for this success, to make this post-purchase campaign really successful. When you are automating these messages, make sure you schedule them to be sent during your own business hours, because an automated message sent 30 seconds after someone purchases at 3 a.m. doesn't exactly look personal, right? So with the initial emails, the idea is to encourage customers to take action really quickly. So the sooner that they can get value from your product, the more likely they are to have a positive experience. Don't overwhelm people with really long emails here. Just include, small snippets of information, or one key piece of information per email. Regardless of how user-friendly your product is, every new customer is going to feel like the new guy when they first start using your product. So some of your customers may not understand the best ways to get the most value from your product. So just, I guess, consider what the customer's experience is likely to be, and if need be, include some tips and tricks on how to use your product. And additionally, if you can preempt any potential customer service moments, if there are some common pitfalls or issues that customers run into, or difficulties, then you want to preempt that, because if you can preempt that, then you have a really good chance of turning a negative experience into a really positive one. And I can say from my own personal experience, I've had those times where I've been able to convert somebody who was a little bit unhappy into an absolute raving fan, who went on to become one of my most avid customers. So really worthwhile to include those touch points in this email sequence. And lastly, just when considering the timing between each email, because it is going to be different for every business, you want to think about how frequently your customers might purchase from you. So how long does it take somebody to sort of need to get to the point where they need more from you, okay? And again, that's going to be different depending on what you sell. If you're a retailer, you've probably got lots of other things that customers can buy from you. If you are a brand selling direct to customers, then generally, you have to wait till they've finished whatever it is that you've sold them, and they need another one. So have a think about what's going to be logical in that kind of buyer journey there. So that's what I have for you today. Oh, Lou, you've got a comment. It's nice to have you join me live today. So your customers don't give their email until they're going through the checkout, so not sure how to email them. So depending on which platform you're on, Lou, then you will be able to potentially adjust when the email address is asked for. So if you're on WordPress, there are ways to just rejig that checkout so that the email address is the first thing that they have to fill out. And with Shopify, basically Shopify is a standard platform. So lots of people already have Shopify accounts on there. So even if they've not shopped from you, then typically Shopify will have their email address and they can trigger the abandoned cart email for you. Hopefully that helps. In terms of what goes into that first email sequence, some of you guys will already have this from me, of course, but for those of you who don't, I do have a free implementation worksheet that you can download from my blog. So, and that is called Double the Number of Customers Who Buy From You. So it's a little kind of guide and implementation worksheet that'll just help you to get that first email sequence in place if you have no idea what to write in it. So I'll pop the link above the video and you can go and grab that whenever you like. So that's what I have for you today. Pop your comments below and let me know what you think. And I look forward to catching you hopefully next week. Bye for now.